Okay, we are learning vocabulary of polyhedrons, in particular prisms and pyramids. Okay, Zach? Polyhedron means many faces. So I'll be showing you some pictures of polyhedrons. It's a three-dimensional figure made up of polygons for faces. That's what it is. A prism is a polyhedron. A pyramid is a polyhedron. Okay, TJ? You're not going to know this vocabulary. It's a solid formed by polygons that enclose a single region of space. So they take up space. In this case, it's just a pyramid. And so we can name these polyhedrons. I've always been used to polyhedrons that have the same shape for all the faces. That's what I think of when I think of a polyhedron. So I got stuck on the homework. They're saying anything. This is a pyramid is also a polyhedron. So it's a big class of solids. Faces are the flat surfaces. So these are faces, the triangles. And these lines here are called the edges. And this point where the edges meet, that's called the vertex. So if I take my little solid here, and the room is made up of geometry, you can think of the edges where the wall meets the ceiling. There's a line there. There's a line up there. Well, a few other things, but so where they all meet, those corners of the room, the corners of the boxes, Zach, are called vertices. I won't talk forever, I hope. Yeah, this is a vertex. So some of you have problems visualizing. See if you can find some models. I'm going to have to go see if I can steal some models. Couldn't find any. Okay. A tetrahedron is a polyhedron that has 4 faces. If you, yes. So this, I would call this a square pyramid. I think that's a better name, but this textbook does this. Because the base is a square, it tells me everything. Okay, Manuel and Matt, it tells me I have a pyramid, so it doesn't have 2 faces, it has only one. Or bases, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. And the base is a square. It has 5 faces because it has 4 triangles going around and 1 base. And it's a total of 5 faces. So in the homework, there's a hexahedron, which means there are 6 faces. Well, I would just call that a prism. I would call that a rectangular prism. But you have to draw that. You have to draw a trapezoidal. Let's see. You have to draw a hexahedron that has 2 bases that are trapezoids. Well, now that we know a hexahedron just has 6 faces, I would have called it a trapezoidal prism. And that, generally speaking, is what's called. But in this book, they do this. And then we have regular polygons. And there's the pictures, regular polyhedrons of the regular polyhedrons. Now, I think of a tetrahedron as always being regular. All these faces are alike. And actually, I could put a little dotted line back here so you can see that that's 4 triangles put together. Yeah. And that's a cube. And that's a pentagonal one. Pentahedron. Now, what about a dodecahedron? Do you remember what dodeca is? It's 12. So, the only ones I've ever been familiar with is if they're all the same. So in one of my geometry classes many years ago, where I took the geometry class, I actually made one of those. And they're kind of fun to make. They take a long time, though, because you have to fold the paper. So it's like origami. Well, it is origami. Yeah, it is. But they're kind of fun to make. That might be a fun thing to do, actually. But you can find the area of that. There are 12 of these triangles. You multiply by your area of one triangle by 12. So when I think of a polyhedron, I think of a regular one. It doesn't have to be, though. Okay, we know all of this. So let's see if we can go through this quickly. A prism is a special polyhedron. And the 2 faces that are made up of polygons, They're parallel and they're congruent. Those are called the bases. So I find the two polygons that are congruent when I look at one of these prisms. In this case, which is a cube, they're all congruent. So it doesn't matter what the base is. But it clearly matters on the next figure. What do you name this one? A triangular prism. It tells me way more than how would we name it as a polyhedron. How many faces are there on a triangular prism? Two triangles, and then how many rectangles going around? Three. So it would be a pentahedron. But that doesn't tell me much. So I don't really like that name. That's just me. Okay, and what is this called? What's the shape of this base? Hexagon. So it's a hexagonal prism. That tells me everything. And you have my formula sheet, so you could find the area of that base. And these are called the lateral edges because they're the edges of the rectangles or parallelograms making up that. Yes. Be an octahedron. But when I think of an octahedron, all the faces are the same. I'd have to think about that. No, it means 8 faces. Like a dodecahedron, the faces are all triangles. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Another new word. We know about prisms. A right prism, all the lateral faces are rectangles. In other words, they're prisms that stand straight up. There's no tilt, like my water glass here. There's no tilt. It doesn't tilt like that, straight up. If I were at the top of this and dropped a rock, it would just go straight down. And it would be the same as the side. So most of the problems that we're going to do are going to be right prisms. Okay, TJ? You're going to miss the vocabulary. I know it's not exciting, but that's what it is. But oblique prisms are ones that have a tilt. So if you are in the business of manufacturing something like pop cans, we always have right cylinders because it's easier to package. When they tilt over like this one tilts, the altitude, if you were up here at this vertex and dropped a rock, it would not fall inside the prism. It would fall outside the prism. Yeah, like that. And if we look at the picture there of the water bottle that's tilted, there is a famous landmark in Italy, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Now, is that falling over? I think it's been moving, hasn't it? Well, I don't know, but all I know is this is not easy to package. Okay, you guys? Even if you could package it and your box would be tilted, how do you put them into the trucks to ship them? So packaging is a huge geometry when you think about it. And then if you look at even the new Viking Stadium, they have some very interesting geometrical shapes there. You haven't thought about it that way, have you? But that is going to be some sort of a polyhedron. Really? Except it's going to be open air, which might be a mistake, but whatever. Like the whole stadium is a polyhedron? Yeah, anything like that.
No, you mean the dome is like a...
Well, it's probably not a total polyhedron because there's a curvature there. But if they had polygons for the sides,
It's open air.
it's open air. Yeah. Let me find some pictures of it. Let's look at it because that's kind of an interesting shape. But it's geometry. Okay. So this is...
Could we also see the four-dimensional thing?
Oh, yeah, I haven't had time to look for it. You guys could Google it. Four-dimensional cube. Called a hypercube. Okay. We've done all this too, haven't we? Pyramids. Pyramids come to a single point. Okay, guys? Zach? Called a vertex. Square pyramid, we name it by the base. Triangular pyramid. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexagonal pyramid. And the altitude goes from the vertex to the plane containing the base. So if it's tilted, in one of my pictures it will be tilted, the altitude will actually lie outside of the pyramid. But for most of our problems, we're going to be doing these kinds of problems. This altitude will drop right down there into the center of that triangle. Okay, there you go. Let's name these. Now, I don't think it's a problem to do the four name a base, those four, but what do you call this? It's a hexagonal prism. Thank you. At least I think this was the intent of the author. It's also a right one, not oblique. Okay, Manuel, you should write this down so you have something to look over when you study for your test. And it's what kind of a polyhedron? There's two bases, so that's two. How many lateral faces are there?
It is, it's an octahedron.
There's 6, so it's an octahedron. Totally, there's 8 polygons. Okay, Zach, what's a base?
Base.
Name a base. There's 2.
Hexagon, G,
What are you starting with?
the lower hexagon.
This one? So what letter are you starting with?
G, H,
Okay, so he's going to go around it.
No, it's K, L. Around that way.
H, I, J, K, L. Okay, now you're going to have to get that right. To get your points on the tests and things like that, you're going to have it in the right order. I don't like these because these are hard to grade. Take me forever. Okay, a lateral edge.
H-E.
Whoa, we'll stop. TJ?
It says J-H-I-J-K-L.
Wait.
J-L-K.
J,
Go. No.
I, H. You have to go in order. G, L, K.
Does it matter if it's this way or this way?
Doesn't matter if we go clockwise or counterclockwise. No.
H-E-V-O, lateral edge.
H-E, is that a lateral edge, you guys?
Yes.
Because it's the edge formed with one of the lateral faces. There's a whole bunch of them. How many are there? 6. And don't I need to put a little line there? Yes. Line segment, actually. Vivian.
For naming the base, would it be J-K-L-G-H-I?
J-K-L. Where's J? J-K-L-G-H-I. Right. I don't want to write them all down because it'll take me too long to write them all. There's lots of ways to do it. Can you name a lateral face? Cole?
Lateral face.
Name a lateral face.
Like this is a lateral face. Lateral faces are going to be rectangles. You don't have to do that one. You can do a different one.
What if it's triangle?
Not on a prism, they're not. Prism, they're going to be rectangles if it's a right prism. If it's not a right prism, if it's oblique and it's tilted, they'll be parallelograms.
Wait, but like triangular prism.
I have a triangular prism, here's how I draw it. I put a triangle there and a triangle there, and then I connect.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I didn't do that very well. I don't like my picture.
No, I understand.
Okay, what's a lateral face?
D-I-J-C.
Okay, so he took D, I, then where'd you go? Oh, J, C. Okay, there's no symbol for that. And what's an altitude? Sydney, give me an altitude here. Take any one of these vertices and drop it straight down so it's perpendicular. In particular, they told us that DI was perpendicular to HI. So give me an altitude name. It's a segment DI. That's right. This is just vocabulary today. Tomorrow we're going to do volume. And then that pretty much finishes the unit.
So a lateral edge is just a line going in between the bases.
Yes.
And a lateral.
Okay, Zach. TJ says a lateral edge is a segment joining the upper base with the lower base.
So an altitude and a lateral edge are pretty much the same.
If it's a right prism. The altitude and the lateral edge are the same thing if it's a right prism. If it's oblique, they are not the same thing. Okay, let's try the next one. The next one is, oh, that's a better picture than I was trying to draw. It's what? It's a triangular prism. Because my guess is you're going to have to do some of this on the test. I haven't looked at it closely. Okay. Is it a right one or oblique? TJ?
That's oblique.
Oh, we know it's oblique from.
It's oblique because it's tilting.
I'm excited about that.
And now, what kind of a hedron is it? How many faces are there? One, two.
It's 5.
You've got 5 going around, so it's a pentahedron. Okay, name a base. Matt Lambert, what's a base? PRQ. That's correct. Except that what do we have to put in front of that because it's a special shape? It's a triangle. Don't forget the symbols. I'll mark it wrong. If triangles, you got to have the symbols. Segments, you got to have the symbols. How about a lateral edge? Emmanuel, can you give me a lateral edge? I'm sorry, what? N to Q. That's a lateral edge. Is that the height? No. Why don't I have that on here? What's the altitude? I don't know why it's not on here. It should be. Oh, yeah, sure we can. Oh, well, we could. We can fix it. What should we call this? Z? Let's call it Z. What's the altitude? NZ. You can always add. The advantage that you have with the iPad is you can always do it easy. Whereas if you're in a textbook, then you have to draw the picture and all that stuff. Okay, give me a lateral face. Laura, can you give me a lateral face? OMRP. There's 3 of them. Oh, she's going to give me a different one. Okay. You're going to give me what? M. Let me use different colors. M and to where? Q. R. Those are parallelograms. They're not rectangles. One of them might be, and I never know. Okay, ready? I think this is the last one.
It is.
Okay, what is that called? It's a pyramid. And what's the shape of the base? The pentagonal pyramid.
And it's a hexagon.
No, it's a pentagon. Is it oblique or is it right?
Oblique.
It's oblique. It's tilted. Okay, now how many faces does it have?
6. It's a hexahedron.
Oh, so it's a hexahedron.
That's what I was.
That's what you were saying. So without the lesson, I couldn't do the problem that asked for the hexahedron with 2 trapezoidal bases. Now I can do it. I put a big question mark there. What's that? Okay, what's the base? Garrett, what's the base? BFEDC. Yep. You have to use the letters in the right order, but that's the only base there is. How about a lateral edge? Garrison, how about a lateral edge? It's just 2 letters because it's a segment. C to A, it's this length right here. C to A. Don't forget the segment symbol. A lateral face. Tess, can you give me a lateral face? Pardon?
Does it name all the lateral edges?
Name them all. There are 5 here.
Wait. One.
Because somebody wrote the worksheet that way. What? Sure. I just did exactly what I was told. Yes. Tess, can you give me a lateral face? What are the shapes of the faces? Yep. So you're going to do triangle, and I don't care which one. B to A to E. No, it's cutting through my polygon.
I didn't say that.
Oh,
That's what.
Yeah. That one works.
Oh, D? Oh, DAE.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear it correctly. And the altitude, oh, now I got to erase some of my stuff here because it's a mess. It's A to E.
That is very correct. If you notice there's a right angle symbol right there, which makes it correct.
Altitude. Okay? So it's just vocabulary. I will come around and check your homework. And so if you haven't done it, do you need me to do any of the problems out of the homework?
No.
Oh, wait.
We can figure it out.
I have one. I just need to look at the home.
Now, I put my solutions up there. I showed all my work, but maybe that's not good enough. You have to let me know.
The two of the
I think you can get this done. You have about a half hour.
Yeah.
You can get this done before you leave. And the matching, there's more words there than there are, there are more choices than there are questions. What? Oh, that's the picture here. The ingot of silver, I looked it up online. I couldn't get a good picture of that. I guess that's what it looks like. Got me. Yes.